Since Sunday, Eastern and Southern Africa have been suffering from an internet blackout caused by faults in cables under the sea. Tanzania and the French territory of Mayotte in the Indian Ocean are reported to have been the hardest hit. However, countries like Mozambique, Malawi, Burundi, Somalia, Rwanda, Uganda, Comoros, Madagascar and Sierra Leone also felt the effects. And it could be some time before normal service is restored. Well, to tell us more on that, we can now cross to the US and speak with Chris Wood, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the West Indian Ocean Cable Company, which is an investor in the Eastern Africa submarine cable system, one of the affected lines. Welcome to the program. We now understand that it was caused by faults in cables under the sea. How big of an impact will this have had on businesses, for example, in those countries I mentioned?
Yes, unfortunately, it does have a significant impact on businesses, users, anybody using the internet. The bulk of the world's internet traffic is actually carried on undersea cables. The popular myth is that satellites carry most of the traffic, but in fact, over 99% of all internet and data and voice traffic is carried on these cables. And the two cables that were cut on Sunday morning carry a large part of the East African traffic. The problem has affected everybody using social media, making phone calls, accessing the internet in any way. Farmers, for example, looking up the prices of commodities, pork or anything else is affected.
How come then there didn't seem to be a backup system to come to the rescue when it all happened?
Well, usually there is. Unfortunately, this situation has been exacerbated by recent cuts of cables in the Red Sea. About 3 months ago, 3 cables were also cut by a ship that sank in the Red Sea off the coast of Yemen. And that meant that all of the traffic, or almost all of the traffic that was serving East Africa, was being routed south around South Africa. And when these 2 cables were cut off the coast of South Africa on Sunday morning, it made an almost immediate blackout as only a small amount of the traffic was able to be carried onto other cables.
How difficult or challenging is it going to be to fix those cables under the sea?
Well, we've mobilized the ship. The repair ship was stationed in Cape Town. That ship left port yesterday morning, on Tuesday morning, and is expected to be on the site by about midday on Friday. It'll locate one end of the broken cable. It'll bring it up to the surface of the sea and then tie it off on a buoy. It'll then proceed and find the other end of the cable, bring that up, and then splice a new piece of cable into the system in the same way that you would splice an electrical cable. That process can take anywhere from 3 to 7 days, depending on the sea conditions and the weather. And there are two cables to repair. So I would expect that within 10 days, we would be able to see the services resume normal activity.
Do we have a clearer picture of how these cables might have been damaged? Was it sabotage or just simple wear and tear?
No, I think the most likely scenario is it was cut by a commercial ship. We believe that the ship probably dragged its anchor, a container ship or a large commercial vessel probably dragged its anchor and then cut the 2 cables.
All right. Chris, thank you so much for your time. Chris Wood there, CEO of the West Indian Ocean Cable Company, talking about that widespread internet outage in much of Africa, Southern Africa and Eastern Africa.
It's Newsday on the BBC World Service with Vic James and Isaac, who's got the sports.